Hello. It is another date with our cozy cottage here, Queen V, your host. How is everyone today? This beautiful Saturday evening. Um, it's a beautiful day. I haven't really been outside. Well, I've been outside once to go to the mailbox and pay my guy the man who mows my lawn. So it was pretty nice. The sun is shining, but we also got pretty white clouds, and we also have cloud, cloudy clouds. Um, but the sky is just beautiful looking. But we've been having rain all week, and they're still talking about rain up to next week. But I think like at night it might rain, then early morning, then it clear up, but it's still cloudy and still clear in certain areas of the sky, and the sun is out, but the weather is just nice. It's not too hot at all. But I just been chilling inside the house doing a little this and that. And I'm gonna post a video later on. I actually tried something else new, guys. I tried something else new. It is an oat flatbread. Yes, oat flatbread. Because I've been looking for like a wrap or like some vegan bread to make, but I love wraps. So, and these gluten-free wraps inside the stores, they're too high and they're not even worth it because they got too much in it. So I look for something simple, and I seen on Instagram this man made this oat wrap, and the ingredients is like nothing. But I'll make that video later and show you what's in it. And I made that oat wrap today, and I made I don't really want to tell you because I want you to see it, because I am gonna post it. It was good. I love the wrap. So I got me a wrap, guys, that I can make. I don't have to go buy which I stopped buying gluten-free wraps because they're too expensive and they got other stuff in it and it's not even worth it. So I make my own now. But anyway, it's that time again, guys. Little Woman. We're gonna do 3 chapters because, guys, we're almost finished with this book. We're gonna do 3 more chapters today, and we're gonna get started. And y'all know what I asked you. What did we end with? Yeah, chapter 29, Learning to Forget. That's what we ended on, that chapter, and we're gonna start with that chapter. Let's do it. Amy's lecture did Laurie good. Though he did not admit it till long afterward, he went back to his grandfather's and was dutifully devoted to him. He decided to compose music, but kept getting distracted again and again by his thoughts of Joe and Amy. Laurie began to wish he had to work for his daily bread. To his great surprise, he discovered it grew easier every day to forget his love for Joe, and he found himself thinking more about Amy instead. Amy was having her own adventures. Fred Vaughn had asked her to marry him, and she surprised herself and said, "No, thank you." She wanted to be loved, not just to be a queen of society. And when she allowed herself to think about it, she found that she missed Laurie. Amy grew a little pale and quiet that spring, lost much of her relish for society, and went out sketching alone a good deal. She sat for hours on the terrace at Valrosa, or sketched tall men with curly hair. The letter saying that Beth was dying never reached Amy, and when she finally read that her sister had died, it was too late to say goodbye to her. So everyone decided that Amy should stay in Europe. Lori came to see her very soon. She was sitting on a stone bench in a garden at the edge of the lake. Her head was on her hand, and she was thinking of Beth and wondering why Lori did not come. She did not hear him cross the courtyard and walk toward her. He stood for a minute, looking at her, seeing what no one had ever seen before, the tender side of Amy's character. Everything about her suggested love and sorrow. The letters in her lap, the black ribbon in her hair, the pain and patience in her face. Even the little ebony cross around her neck. She looked up and saw him and dropping everything. She ran to him saying with love and longing, "Oh, Lori, Lori, I knew you'd come to me." As he sat down beside her, Amy felt shy again. I couldn't help it. I felt so lonely and sad and was so very glad to see you. It was such a surprise to look up and find you, she said. I came the minute I heard. I wish I could say something to comfort you. You needn't say anything. This comforts me, she said softly. Beth is happy now. You don't have to go right back to, do you? Amy spoke and looked so like a homesick child that Lori forgot he was shy too. Poor little soul. I'm going to take care of you, so don't cry anymore. But come and walk with me, he said. After a while, they went back to the nearby hotel for dinner. Lori was always walking, riding, boating, or studying, while Amy admired everything he did and followed his example. The air did them both good, and so did the exercise. In spite of the sadness, it was a very happy time. There was no need for Lori to tell Amy that he loved her. She knew it already. It all happened very easily and naturally. One afternoon, the two were in a boat on the lake. Amy had been dabbling her hand in the water, and when she looked up, Lori was leaning on the oars and watching her. She said, "You must be tired. Rest a little and let me row." Amy rowed well, and though she used both hands and Lori used only one, the boat went smoothly through the water. "How well we pull together, don't we?" said Amy. "So well that I wish we might always pull in the same boat." "Will you, Amy?" he asked very tenderly. "Yes, Lori," she said in a very soft and low voice. Chapter 30. All Alone. Jo found her promise very hard to keep. How could she comfort father and mother when her own heart ached? "I can't do it. I wasn't meant for a life like this, and I shall break away and do something desperate if somebody doesn't come and help me," she said to herself. But someone did come and help her. Her mother. Jo's burden seemed easier to bear from the safe shelter of her mother's arms. And one day she went to her father's study and asked, "Father, talk to me as you did to Beth. I needed more than she did. Then, sitting in Beth's little chair close beside him, Jo told him all her troubles. He gave her the help she needed, and both felt better. Jo took over Beth's duties of dusting and cleaning and humming songs as she worked, and everyone was happier. And she found that the idea of marriage was not too bad either. Meg had changed so much for the better. And Jo said to Meg when she came to visit one day with her children, "Marriage is an excellent thing after all. I wonder if I should become as good as you if I tried it." "It's just what you need, Jo," Meg laughed, for she was glad to see a little of Jo's old spirit. "Why don't you write again? That always used to make you happy, said her mother once, when Joe was hit by a wave of sad. I'm sorry. That always used to make you. Why don't you write again? That always used to make you happy, said her mother once, when Joe was hit by a wave of sadness. I've no heart to write, and if I had, nobody cares for my things. We do. Write something for us. Don't believe I can. But Joe got out her desk and began to overhaul her half-finished manuscripts. Joe never knew how it happened, but something got into one story that went straight to the hearts of those who read it. Her father sent it to one of the popular magazines, and to her utter surprise, it was not only paid for, but more asked for. Everyone liked it, friends and readers alike. I don't understand it. What can there be in a simple little story like that to make people praise it so, she said. There's truth in it, Joe. That's the secret. You wrote with no thoughts of fame and money, and you put your heart in it. So Joe wrote her little stories, and they were all published and praised. When Amy and Lori wrote about their engagement, Joe asked, "You like it, Mother?" Yes, I hoped it would be so, ever since Amy wrote that she had refused Fred. Truly, love does work miracles. How very happy this seemed. How very happy they must be now, Joe said and smiled. But Joe was restless. She went up to the garret and looked through her old books and papers. When she found a message written by the professor, she remembered him, his kindness, and she sat down and cried. Let's do one more. What you think? It's getting good. Chapter 31, Surprises. Joe was alone, lying on the old sofa, looking at the fire and thinking. It was her favorite way of spending the evening. No one disturbed her. She was 25 and feeling old and tired. 25 feeling old, come on. An old maid, that's what I'm to be, she said and sighed. Joe must have fallen asleep, for suddenly, Laurie's ghost seemed to stand before her. She looked up, not really understanding till he bent down and kissed her. She stood up, crying joyfully. "Oh, my Teddy!" "Dear Joe, why? You are really glad to see me." Wait a minute. "Dear Joe, why? You are really glad to see me then?" "Glad? My blessed boy, words can't express my gladness. Where's Amy?" "Your mother has got her down at Meg's. We stopped there, and there was no getting my wife out of their clutches." "Your what?" cried Joe. "You've gone and got married?" Yes, please, but I never will again," he said, and he went down upon his knees, his hands together, in a face full of mischief, mirth, and triumph. "Mercy on us. What dreadful thing will you do next?" Joe said and laughed. "How good it sounds to hear you say Teddy. No one ever calls me that but you." And Laurie sat down. "What does Amy call you?" My lord. Don't I look like a married man and the head of a family?" "Not a bit, and you never will. Now really, Joe, you ought to treat me with more respect," began Laurie. "How can I, when the mere idea of you married and settled is so funny?" answered Joe. "Well, I did it only to please Amy," began Laurie. "That's not a good reason to get married." Fib number 1, and Amy did it to please you. It's all the same, she and I being one. Grandpa wanted to come home. He went to please me, and I couldn't let him go alone. Neither could I leave Amy. So I just settled the difficulty by saying, let's be married and then we can do as we like. When, where, how? Asked Joe. 6 weeks ago at the American Consul's in Paris. A very quiet wedding, for we didn't forget dear little Beth. Joe said, no, I had father and mother to help me and the dear babies to comfort me in the thought that you and Amy were safe and happy, to make the troubles here easier to bear. I am lonely sometimes, but I dare say it's good for me. And you never shall be again, broke in Laurie, putting his arm about her. Amy's voice was heard calling, where is she? Where's my dear old Joe? And trooped the whole family, and everyone was hugged and kissed all over again. Mr. Lawrence was hale and hearty as ever. Joe thought, as she watched Laurie and Amy, I was right, and Laurie has found the beautiful, accomplished girl he needed. Mrs. March and her husband smiled and nodded at each other with happy faces. Amy's face showed a peaceful heart. Her voice had a new tenderness in it, and the cool, prim carriage had changed to a gentle dignity. Love has done much for our little girl, said her mother softly. Joe felt very sad for a minute and decided, I'll weep a little weep when I go to bed. Then, as she was going to join the others, there was a knock at the door. She opened it, and there stood a tall, bearded gentleman beaming at her from the darkness like a midnight sun. Oh, Mr. Bear, I am so glad to see you, cried Joe. Come in. Joe pulled him into the house and took his hat. You have been ill, my friend. You have been ill, my friend? As Joe hung up his coat, the light fell on her face, and he saw a change in it. Not ill, but tired and sorrowful. We have had trouble since I saw you last. Ah, yes, I know. My heart was sore for you when I heard that, he said, and shook her hand again, and Joe felt comforted. Father, Mother, this is my friend, Professor Bear, she said with so much pride that she might as well have blown a trumpet. Mr. Bear received a warm welcome upstairs. Everyone greeted him kindly for Joe's sake at first, but very soon they liked him for his own. If Joe had not been busy, Laurie's behavior would have amused her. At first, he stood back and frowned, faintly jealous, and then he got interested. Mr. Bear looked at Joe wistfully, but she kept her eyes on the little sock she was knitting and peeked at him every now and then. That's 3 chapters. That's all I'm going to read. Guys, we have 3 more chapters to go. So our next video will be the end of the book. We got 3 more chapters to go. So what you going to think with what's going to happen with Joe and Mr. Bear? Comment below. What do you think going to happen? All right. That's it for Little Woman. We got 3 more chapters to go. Next chapter, chapter 32, My Lord and Lady. Look out for my next video of my oat wrap. Love you guys. As always, never give up. God can deliver you from anything. If it's His will, never give up. Hold God close to you. Put Him first in your life. I love you guys.